the same thing, the Western Climate Initiative is trying to do a similar cap and trade thing with many of the same pitfalls. So with cap and trade, we must be very careful that we do it right. There are ways to do it in a good way, it seems, but what the coal companies will push for is something which looks like it does something for the environment, but really doesn't. It only is good for the coal companies. But now let me say, there are many things which are left out in this list of things. We need to do many more things. And there is, for instance, a publication by the Post-Carbon Institute called The Real New Deal, and that has much better and a much more inclusive set of policies. Let me read here. They say, start reducing fossil fuel usage immediately. Carbon emissions must decline by 6% every year. So this is a steeper decline than the McDermott bill, which starts with 2.5% at the beginning, and then at the end the decline is 5%. But they say we have to decline 6% per year, which means something like a ban on new coal, and old coal must be phased out, and so we just need to stop emitting carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. The second point is a massive and immediate shift to renewable energy, so that means the energy, since we have to stop emitting, we have to use less coal energy, we have to try as best as we can to replace this with renewable. Much of that can also be replaced with energy efficiency, but renewable energy must be a big emphasis there. Then the third point, which was not at all in the New York Times article, is electrify the transportation system. The building and widening of highways must come to a halt. We have a railroad network, which was at the beginning of the 20th century was the envy of the world, and it kind of has decayed. We have to build this up, and we have to have electric railroads instead of trucks on the highways, and also high-speed electric trains instead of airplanes. So the electrification of the transportation system is an important thing which needs to be done. Obama has done some of that in the stimulus package. He has 8 billion there, which is by far not enough, but it's a start. Rebuild the electric grid. This has to be done in two ways. On the one hand, the electric grid usually right now is really localized. It's state by state, and it's one way. It goes from a few centralized producers of electricity, like a tree, to many consumers of electricity. Now, we have to, on the one hand, make this grid a national grid, so that electricity, which is solar power, which is generated in Nevada in the desert, can be shipped to Los Angeles, or that the wind power in the Midwest can be shipped to Chicago. Right now we don't have the electricity power transmission grid which can do this. This is an absolute necessity. And another thing also here is the electric grid must be modernized in the way that yes, people call it smart grid. You have to combine information technology, basically computer technology, with the electric grid in such a way so that people can feed their own electricity from their solar panels back into the grid. Another important factor for the smart grid is going to be a plug-in hybrid, plug-in electric vehicles, which will be there in 2 or 3 years. You will be able to buy on the market an electric vehicle which you charge by just plugging it in your garage. And this also needs a smart grid, because those plug-in vehicles, they draw a lot of current in order to charge the batteries, and you don't want to do this in the evening when he plugs the electric vehicle in, but you want to do this during the night at lower rates, and for this you need the computer technology of the smart grid. And if you have that, then you can also use the batteries of those cars as electricity storage, which is a very good way of solving some of the problems of renewable electricity. So then decarbonize and relocalize the food system. That is important. We depend for what we are eating on a very long supply chain. We are eating grapes from Chile and stuff like that, and we have to localize this. We are entering an era of many crises and disruptions. We need a more resilient economy which still can allow us to be fed even if some things go wrong and even if there's a crisis. That is one part. Going towards a resilient economy, we need a localized and food economy and the agriculture. Basically, right now, agriculture uses oil to produce goods. We have to go back to using the soil and building up the nutrients in the soil and using this to produce goods rather than chemicals coming from oil. And the next thing is retrofit the building stock for energy efficiency and energy production. That is also one of the things which was done in the New York Times article. There are still two additional things, or let me say three things, which even this article does not mention. One is, they mention it a little bit implicitly. It really means we have to get away from consumerism, and we have to kind of find our happiness in other things than big screen TVs and stuff like that. And this is, on the one hand, a challenge for us, but it is really also a good, because we should have more time for our family, for our friends and stuff like that. They are reorienting your life in this way is a challenge, but it also can give many good things. So many of those challenges of renewable energy, also the technological challenges, are not only costs or challenge, but they are also good things because they give us new technologies which enable us to do more things. So that is one thing. Individual attitudes towards consumption must change, and they have it implicitly there. They didn't want, apparently, they chose not to say this explicitly. I think it should be addressed explicitly. Maybe one of the main things there is we have to give up flying, or we have to do flying will be only maybe in an emergency or something like that, but it will not longer be part of our everyday or every year activities that we can fly to vacation destinations. That is maybe one of the most difficult parts of this whole thing. And there are two more things which they don't say. One is population growth. We have to curb population growth. Right now, the population which we have on this earth is more than the earth can carry in the long run. It is basically due to the one-time bonanza of fossil fuels which gave us this cheap energy that we were able to grow the population beyond the limits which are really sustainable. And we have to think about it, how we can decrease the population. If we don't do this, deliberately by policies and by discussions and by decisions. It will be done for us in ways which we will not like. And the next thing, which is also not in there,